Max, we got an interesting tweet the other day.
Our man Hudson.
Our friend Hudson on Twitter asked a question. And I will read it directly because part of the fun of this exercise is going to be kind of parsing out exactly what he means.
Yeah. And before we do this, I do want to thank Hudson because Hudson has slowly become like a member of the show with his questions. He has very good questions. So thank you for that.
I don't want to thank him.
I would like to thank him, even though I do have to say some of his taste in life is deeply flawed. He's a good friend of the podcast, which means he is a Men in Blazers fan, and you know how I feel about Men in Blazers.
Yeah, you do hate Men in Blazers.
Not great. He is also a Houston Dynamo fan.
Ooh.
I know. There are some issues with Hudson, but in general, we do want to say thank you to Hudson.
Houston Dynamo. Here's the question. Random question. What would y'all's list of top 5 or 10 coaching jobs without state championships be? Top 5 or 10 coaching jobs without state championships. So there's a couple of ways to look at this. You can view this from a coach perspective.
Right.
In the mind of you say, okay, here are the best coaches in the state who have done the best job.
Right.
Without winning a state championship. Yes. You could go that way. And that would be a very...
Which is the broadest spectrum of this question because you could argue that some coaches are doing a tremendous job just to get their teams to 500.
To 500 or even 3 and 7 for a number of teams is a real miracle.
Exactly.
So there's that. That's one way to view it. The other way, and you brought this up and I didn't even think of this.
Right. The other way to view this is if you had to pick the top 10 most attractive jobs that have yet to win a title, the programs that have yet to win a title but seem like with the right coach could march right down and get a title with the right circumstances, what would those be?
Correct.
We felt like those are a little slanted towards more privileged suburbs, programs that have single districts, good sizes, those kinds of things, favorable regions.
The problem with viewing it through that prism is that inevitably all we're going to do is talk about rich schools. Right. Because rich schools do have an advantage when it comes to that.
Payroll, everything, coaching positions, number of members of the staff, all that stuff.
Right. There are, all of those things that a lot of other places don't have to deal with. So instead, I took it in this direction. And I think
this is the right direction to take.
I started thinking about the 10 best programs in the state, high school football programs, without a state championship in their history.
Yep.
And this in and of itself is complicated as well.
For sure.
Because there are a lot of programs that don't have a championship recently, but do have one in their history. Right. I'll give you a perfect example.
We both thought of this. It's a great example.
Longview.
Yeah.
Okay? Longview is a great job with a lot of wins and a
great talent,
a rabid fan base, a lot to like there. They would be at the top of this list if it weren't for that pesky state championship they won in the 30s. So it's the kind of thing that we have to kind of balance that out of like, okay, like on one hand, like, this is a great job that has not won a title recently.
Right.
But they do have a title back in when Dave Campbell was just a itty bitty baby boy.
Right.
So that's something that makes things a little bit more complicated.
Right.
And so here's what I did, and I'll be.
I liked you divided this up basically into two things. It's a great system.
I'll be perfectly honest about this, and transparent about how I did this, is that I went and I looked at every program's record in the last 30 years. Okay, since 1986, because that would imply that it is a program on the rise, that is a program currently doing good things. Now, there are some teams that had like a run of about 10 years that have fallen off recently. One that came to mind was Pilot Point. Pilot Point had a tremendous stretch there when they were coached by G.A. Moore, kind of fallen on hard times. Now they do have titles, so they would be ineligible for this anyway. But for the most part, I looked at the teams that have the best records since 1986. Okay, there's that. And then I looked at the teams that then do not have state championships. And I kind of gathered about 12 of them, and then honestly, I gave my own personal spin on the jobs and how attractive they are. And so, here are, in my view, the 10 best programs in Texas without a state championship. Let's start, number 10, the Holiday Eagles. This is the kind of program that honestly is so remarkable because they haven't even made a state championship game, which seems crazy to me, especially when you consider how consistently good they've been over the last quarter century or so. I mean, they've had their run recently where they haven't been great, but for about 15, 20 years, they were a real force in that kind of in that 2A in the 2A region, in the 2A classification. They didn't always but they could just never really get over the hump. So for me, I would say that Holiday comes in at number 10, kind of in that North Texas type area. Holiday is number 10. Number 9, and this one might come as a surprise, but Italy. Down in the Central Texas area, the Gladiators have had a lot of success. They are, in fact, God, I wish I hadn't closed that thing out. But they are, I believe, one of, they're the most, in fact, I can look this up. Italy, since 1986, has almost a 70% winning percentage. They are 248, 113, and 1. Have never made a state championship game.
That's kind of amazing.
But I think that speaks to, especially in that Central Texas area, where you got to go through, Mart. You got to go through a lot of these big, powerful programs in that Central Texas area. They are just, if this is the kind of team that if they were out west, they'd be in a title game by now. But Italy, I would say, is the number 9 program in the state without a state championship. Let's go out east. Number 8, Elysian Fields.
That's a great pick. Yeah.
Elysian Fields has been to title games. Elysian Fields is a program that always seems like they're right on the cusp.
Yeah. Chad Morris coached them for a title game.
Maybe
2.
They made a title game in 98. They made another title game in 99.
Yep.
They made another title game in 2007.
Yeah.
Lost all 3.
Yeah.
This is a program that has been there consistently. They have a 68% winning percentage over the past 30 years. Elysian Fields is a good program. From a small school perspective, they've always got talent. They've got a great fan base. I think Elysian Fields is probably is one of the best programs in the state without a state title. They're my number 8 pick. Number 7, Rogers, and I'm sticking to the small schools here. I promise we're getting to bigger schools in a minute. But Rogers is another example of a team that, honestly, if you were, I think if you were there are a lot of people out there who. That's a program that you forget doesn't have a title because they're always so consistently good.
And in other sports as well.
Exactly. Yeah, they're always so athletically talented as a school that the fact that they've never won a state championship and only been to one. They went to the 97 title game and lost to Stanton, got pretty much drubbed by the Buffaloes. Yeah. This is Rogers, I think, is a perfect example of a program that you go, no, they have a title. They won one in 90-80 something, right. So-and-so. Yeah. No, they didn't. They don't have one. And so that's kind of a surprise to me. And that's why whenever you see people jumping to get that job, there's a reason why. Because they do have great success and they do have great support. They just haven't been able to get over that hump.
Right.
Number 6, we're going down the coastal bend, Sinton. The Pirates are my number 6 team without a state championship, and it's not for lack of trying.
Yeah.
They went to the 3A title game in 2001 and lost to Everman, that kind of incredible Everman team. But Sinton is a squad that has been nothing but dominant down there in the south kind of coastal bend area. 262, 107, and 6 in the last 30 years. A 70% winning percentage. A very, very good program.
Right.
The Pirates always seem like they are right there, and then they'll play a team from Region 3 and lose in the semifinals. Or they'll play another really good team from Region 4 and lose in the quarterfinals.
Right.
This is a program that's always in the hunt, and that's all you can ask for from us. But it hasn't come up aces for them yet. That's number 6. Number 5, and this might be a bit off the board, Arlington Lamar.
It is. I was surprised you had this.
Here's my reasoning behind this. First of all, Arlington Lamar has been a lot better than you think they have been. They are always very, very good, especially, building up their program. And, a 72% winning percentage over the past 30 years. They have the 43rd best winning percentage in the state in the past 30 years.
Yeah.
Pretty great. The other thing is, this is even though Arlington ISD is split up into a number of programs, with all due respect to what Bob Wager's doing at Martin, and with all due respect to what always goes on at Arlington High, Arlington Lamar is, in my view, the flagship program of Arlington ISD.
Sure.
That when the Vikings are good, everyone kind of sits up and pays attention. Arlington Martin's kind of the nouveau riche.
Right.
They're the program
It's
that's
the
come
new
on lately.
kid.
Yeah, they're the new kid on the block. Arlington Lamar is the traditional power that, they've made title games before. Hold on. They made a title in 1990 and lost to Aldine, but they've never been able to get over that hump.
Yeah.
And so Arlington Lamar comes in at number 5 for me. We're going through my top 10 programs, Texas football programs without a state championship. Number 4, back down to kind of that Houston Coastal Bend area. Let's go to Gregory Portland.
Yep.
And I think that that is a job people forget about. Mm-hmm. That because there is such a talent base down there, that I think people forget that this is and because of just where they are in the state, I think that people forget that they're this good.
Right.
But look, it's another program that wins a lot of wins under their belt,
A lot of history.
a lot of history, a lot of tradition. Exactly. Only made one title game though.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 1971, it's the last time, or it's the only time they made a title game, and so I think that. Okay. I think there was a lot of head scratching when Rick Rhodes left Cameron Yo to go to Gregory Portland.
Right.
I think that there was people who were like, wait a second, like, why would he leave this 3-time, they won 3 titles, they came within a whisker of winning a 4th in a row. Why would he leave that? Gregory Portland has such an incredible community support down there, and such an incredible fan base and talent and such a passion for it that I can't blame him. And you go talk to Rick Rhodes and he'll tell you that same thing. That the culture down there is such that if you can be the team to bring them a title, they'll build you a statue.
Right.
Number 3, Harlingen. And this is a very similar situation. Look, I understand.
The Valley haters are coming for you.
I know.
With their pitchforks.
I know. I understand that it's in the Rio Grande Valley, and the Rio Grande Valley hasn't won a title since 1960 when Donna did it. Okay? I get it. But Harlingen is the flagship program of the Valley. It is the program. And if now they've never made a title or a title game. But, look, in the last 30 years, think about this. In the last 30 years, they have 95 losses.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. 95 losses in the last 30 seasons. This is a program that is consistently, if it's not, okay, let's put it this way. Teams from the Valley will up and have great years. Edinburgh Vela will have a great year. Ed Couch Elsa will have a great year. But they'll be up and they'll be like, oh, it's great. Look at what McAllen Memorial's doing.
Yep.
But then they'll kind of fade back to the background. The one consistently excellent program, or at least in my view, the most consistently excellent program in the Valley is Harlingen. They face the steepest climb, though, and for reasons we can get into, Harlingen, because of the Valley and because of the situation where they have to go and get through Region 4, and simply put, they just do not have the horses to run with teams from San Antonio and Austin. Because of that, they face the steepest climb, and they will probably be the least likely to win a title on this list. But the fan base down there is crazy town banana pants. They are the biggest game in town. Harlingen is, in my view, the 3rd best program without a state championship. Number 2, another perfect example of a team that people forget does not have a title. Smithson Valley.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like everyone, like you would
Like,
think.
especially
in the
Larry Hill
early
and them, they
2000s.
locked
They definitely won one, right?
They definitely won one.
They went to 3.
Yeah, they definitely won one.
They went to overtime in 01 with Denton Ryan and lost.
Oh.
They lost to South Lake Carroll in 2002. Lost Carroll again by 3 points in 2004. Smithson Valley
So good.
is such a tremendous program that it's actually remarkable that they don't have one. It's really actually like out of control that
That's
they
how
don't
good
have
they
one.
are. Yeah.
That they've always had the horses, they've always had the teams. That is a matter of, and I know luck is a 4-letter word, but like that's a program that has seemed like for about a 10-year stretch, starting in about 1999, they seemed like they were about a bounce or two away from winning a state championship, and that's why people speak about Smithson Valley in those kind of hushed tones,
Right?
Because it is such a good program because of what Larry Hill did consistently there. Now, has done there consistently, but I would say it's the number 2 program without a state championship.
I think that's fair.
Number 1, Corpus Christi Cal Allen.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, look, it is now physically impossible to separate Corpus Christi Cal Allen football from Phil Danaher, the winningest coach in Texas high school football history. But I think that people don't necessarily understand that Corpus Christi Cal Allen isn't just a great football program, it's also the football program of the Coastal Bend. That when Corpus Christi Cal Allen when Cal Allen is good, people pay attention to Corpus Christi football.
Right. And
when they're not, fair or not, people don't.
Right.
And you saw it at the title game, what a rabid fan base they have. It's like I said, it's impossible to separate Phil Danaher from Cal Allen, but I think that's for me is the best program in the state without a state championship. Which, by the way, if you want the numbers, in the last 30 years, they're 350 and 63.
Ooh,
300. They have 350 wins in their last 30 years.
Question.
Okay? Which means they're averaging more than 11 wins a year.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
Of those 10 teams,
Mm-hmm.
most likely to win one next, soon, this year maybe.
Elysian Fields.
I was going to say Elysian Fields too, right? They're right there. They've had some good teams.
They're always right there.
Right.
They're always right there.
They just need one of those kind of magical East Texas runs, and they might pull it off. Yeah.
And you think about 3A, I think that's the more navigable path. It's a lot harder to predict that Cal Allen's going to win a 5A title,
right,
or the Smithson Valley's going to win a 6A
right,
title, or that Harlingen's going to storm up from the valley and do
right,
the unthinkable.
Right.
For me, I would say that Elysian Fields would be the most likely to win one in the next couple of years.
And in the same vein, I would probably be like, if you had to pick one team to make the most regional finals over the next decade, I'd probably pick like Smithson Valley,
yes,
or Cal Allen. You know what I mean? But I don't know that they can go on that run because of how much tougher those regions and those fields are, and the teams at the top just consistently have so much depth.
Exactly.
But with a team like Elysian Fields, you sit there and go, boy, they could do
like,
it.
Why not?
If they get the right year going.
If they get the right things, the right things cooking, that Region 3 is navigable.
Yep.
I would say that they would probably be the best, the most likely to be winning their first state championship in the next couple of years.
I think so too.